Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 65 of the Pod of War Gamescast. I'm your host, Hugh Gizmo, joined this week by Massive Dash, Chris Pengelly,
Hello, everyone.
and the Lankster, Mr. CW Lanky, Craig Warren.
Hello.
Boys and girls, it's actually been 3 weeks since the last proper podcast.
It's been a
Unbelievable.
long time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, me
Is
and
the
Pengels
first
have
one of the
been...
year?
Oh, it might be. Maybe second.
Yeah, it could, I think the last one was just.
I think we actually did Game of the Year. I think that was the last one, or maybe
Oh,
Fantasy
yeah,
Premier
of
League.
course.
Just after, was it like the 2nd of January or something like that? It was pretty new into the year.
So
Which means that Chris would have
I was going to
spent
say,
about £5,000 on games so
yeah,
far
are we
this
ready?
year.
Are we ready for a 45-minute Chris Pengelly pickup section?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Oh God! Well, before we get to Chris, let's get with what we know and what we love. Craig, what have you bought? What have you been playing? What's been going on?
So I've held strong for the boys, and I've not bought anything
You can't be
in
doing
January.
that in 2023, Craig.
Yeah, I've not bought a game in January. I'm the bastion of hope. I know.
Some would say you haven't needed to.
Exactly.
Dead Space didn't tempt you?
Not yet. Maybe, possibly one day. It does look good. So all I've played is I've finished High on Life now, which I think I was about halfway through when we last recorded. It took me, according to True Achievement, it took me dead on 10 hours, which I'm quite proud of that. Which means I can never load that game up ever again because I don't want to go, I don't want to ruin that dead on 10 hours mark. But it's really good. The end is really funny as well. Like the beginning of that game is fantastic, and the end is also fantastic. So it's worth getting to. There's some like nonsense, like troll ending stuff you can do as well to get extra achievements and that sort of thing. So I did do a little bit of achievement hunting on it once I finished it. But I didn't obviously go for the completion because completion's pretty difficult. Only a 1% completion on True Achievements. And it says 30 hours, Davey, which
it's a bit much, isn't it?
that's a long time. But yeah, so I finished with 78% on the High on Life, so it's not bad actually. Not bad. 25 out of 32, 675 gamer score. And I finished this the day before Monster Hunter Rise came out. I timed it fucking perfectly, boys. So I didn't have to, awkwardly start something else. Literally finished it next day, Monster Hunter Rise, downloaded, installed, boom.
Oh yeah.
And talking about achievements, whilst on the subject, boys, saying how 78% on the High on Life. Currently have, according to True Achievements, 33 hours on Monster Hunter Rise already. Which for me, as someone, it normally takes me like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks to be a 10-hour game nowadays. To pump that many hours in, in like a week and a half, I think that game's been out. Yeah, it says something about how good that game is. But just the 2 achievements skill, just 20G in 33 hours. Game does not give you achievements. It's impossible. It refuses.
Yeah, because I looked, the last story achievement when I looked was 0.8 or something had got it or something on True Achievements, and that's just doing the story.
Yeah, well, we'll get on to the story. I don't know if this game really has a story, to be honest with you, Chris. I mean, I know Monster Hunter games don't particularly have stories anyway, and Worlds kind of made an attempt. This just makes no attempt, does it? This is
no, absolutely
it's
not.
Like it's like, all right, we've managed to somehow make this game run on the Switch. Are we gonna do some cutscenes in that as well? We're gonna push it? Nah, fuck it. It'll explode. If we do anything else, the Switch will explode. So let's just mention some shit about a rampage. And I've finished all of the solo quests now, I think, unless there's any more that I'm missing. Because it only goes up to 6 stars. I think you get the credits after the 5-star quests.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really jarring because you finish it and then you're like, oh, okay, so I've unlocked the 6-star quest now. I'll keep going, happy lot. And then suddenly the credits start rolling. You're like, the fuck's going on?
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah, and then there is like a second set of credits as well to come.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're the same. And I'm pretty sure you have to do the hub quest to get like a proper ending, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Which is what me and Dave are kind of working through now.
We're plodding along.
Yeah, I think we've done all the 1-star hub quests now, and we've nearly done all the 2. It's quite exciting because I think when you do the single player, it takes like until you get to like 4 or 5 before you start like facing like the proper monsters. There's a lot of just kind of easy ones at the start. But I think once we finish 2, I feel like we're going to be into this, like some of the harder monsters straight away on 3, which is good because some of them have been quite easy so far. So a bit of challenge would be nice.
Absolutely.
We've already done the Raffian, I think.
Yeah, that's what we did last night. We did a Raffian last night, which wasn't too
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, so I think we're building up to start getting on some of the bigger boys, which would be fun.
Hell yeah.
But the game is it's incredible. So for me to pump 30 odd hours in a week and a half is just insane. Been pretty much using range the whole time. I did try the bow to start with, but didn't really get on with it that much. So I moved on to the light bow gun, and that's just really fun to use. Quite simple as well, and I like simple on these games. On World, I pretty much use the lance the whole time because it's nice and simple. And I'm bad at action games, really bad at action games. So not having to remember combos and buttons and parries and all of that stuff is good for me because I can spam buttons, but I can't do much else. So yeah, we'll keep plugging away at that. I'm sure. He'll give you a Monster Hunter update every week.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But that is it. Other than I've obviously played some Hi-Fi Rush, which I think we will get to in a bit.
Lovely. What a lovely week. What a lovely 3 weeks for Craigo.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll do mine before we get to the biggest of dogs. So let's start with the big news. Obviously, while we've been in hiatus, I have managed to keep from the boys that I have in fact bought a Steam Deck, which was very funny to me when Chris sold his, and I was like, oh, this is going to make for great content in about a month's time. So I have got a Steam Deck, and I'm loving it at the moment. In terms of what I've been playing on the Steam Deck, obviously I finished Aperture Desk Job, which was really funny, and I just wish they would make another Portal game because they clearly know how to make games. So can we just do that?
They can't count past 2.
Call it Portal 4. I don't even care at this point. Like it'll be fun. I've been playing a lot of Trails to the Sky, which I am properly in love with. Like I've played like 11, 12 hours of that already, and it is perfect for handheld. It runs really nicely. It feels like a Vita at the moment, and I'm loving it. I'm loving life. What else have I been playing? Obviously, I've been a bit of sneaky and playing some Mario Kart and some Simpsons Hit and Run, and that's obviously pretty good on it. And the main thing is Xbox, just general Xboxness on it. So I've been playing. I've got the Xbox Cloud app, which I would rate about a 6 out of 10 for use. Like it's not too bad, it's not great, but it's not awful. But the real star of the show is the remote play, which is I would honestly about a 9 out of 10 experience. It is nearly flawless. Like you can barely tell that it is not native on the machine, and it's ridiculous how good remote play is on it. So I can see me playing a lot of Xbox games on remote play because it's too big of a console to really take out, but it is nice to be sort of lying in bed just with a controller, like just playing while you've got like like a movie on in the background or some like TV or whatever, and you just sat there playing. And I'm going to play a lot of games that way. But yeah, really enjoying the Steam Deck so far, and I will of course update you all on more Steam Deck shenanigans down the line. As for what else I've been playing,
Trails in the Sky, the PSP one,
uh,
not
te-
the new, not
yeah,
the
it's
new one that just come out.
no. So Trials of the Sky with the PSP games that are only on PSP or Steam. I think the third might have come to Vita. I'm not sure in Japan, but yeah, they're in the West. Realistically, you're only playing that bad boy on Steam, and it runs perfectly on Steam Deck. Perfectly. It actually says it doesn't. It's an unsupported game, but it took all of 3 seconds to get it working. So I was like, okay, cool.
I'm going
Um,
to assume this is some sort of JRPG.
It is the most JRPG, Craig. It's the series I talked
Okay.
about last episode that I was enjoying so much. I went back and played the first game because I was like, I can't miss any of the story. So yeah,
Nice.
playing that at the moment. I will. That will get finished like next week purely because it's handheld and I can just play it. I play like 3 hours a night in bed. Like it's perfect. It is perfect for that thing. My only real gripe with the Steam Deck, to be honest, is the battery life on particularly taxing native games. So if I'm playing, say, what if I play? So I've got DMC5. I got that in a Humble Bundle last year. Like playing that, probably about 2 hours max of it on 60 is what I'll get out of it. I mean, it's not too bad considering the type of session you're going to have on Steam Deck, but that's probably the only real problem with it. TBH.
I
But
think
yeah,
a lot of people. I think that's been like most people's like main gripe in it is the
it
battery
is.
life.
I
Which
think,
I imagine if they well, not if they're going to do more Steam Decks, aren't they? Because they're
yeah,
selling so well. Be something that they like look to address.
it's tough because I don't see too many scenarios where you're going to play for longer than 3 hours without being near a plug socket, which I know
Yeah.
is no excuse, but it's like it's too big to be like, like if you're going to play it on a plane, like you're still probably going to have a plug socket near you. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those where I'm like, I don't really know what much more they do, and it really does depend on the settings you want. Because like Trials of the Sky, I can play for like 8 hours. Like it is fine. I've got all the settings are all up. Like it's not going to tax you. Remote play, I can play again 6 to 8 hours, no issue, because it just doesn't use any power. But yeah, but that's really its only gripe for me so far. As for Xbox, I too have been playing quite a bit of Monster Hunter. I'm at about 11 hours, which I've mostly played with Craig.
Those
Um,
are rookie hours
when
there, JB.
I haven't had a week off, Craig, have I? So
Yeah,
that's coming next
that's
week.
coming soon though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming next week. But yeah, I'm playing Longsword like I usually do, just because
That's what I played in on it as Switch long sword.
yeah, I usually go longsword, and I've tried some other ones very briefly, and I just didn't enjoy them. So I was like, you know what? I barely ever stick to these games. Let's just go with what I know. Yeah, really enjoying it. Plays wonderfully on Series X. Looks fantastic. Runs fantastic. A lot better than the Switch version I very briefly played. So yeah, very pleased with it. It's come to Game Pass, and that me and Craig have been able to play it in co-op. And obviously, it does also work really well on remote play on the Steam Deck, which is cool. As for other stuff, still playing WRC9. I'm never going to stop until I get all of the achievements, which are nearly impossible at this point, but still plugging away.
I'm glad that's
Uh,
replaced dirt in your life at least.
oh yeah, I mean, the second Dirt goes on sale on Steam Deck, though, Craig. I'll be honest. I'm going to go for another completion, but I keep my eyes on it. But yeah, I mean, Game Pass has been ridiculously good. So it's kind of been like I've got GoldenEye still to play, and I've got Age of Empires 2 to play, and I've got Hi-Fi Rush. Obviously, we'll talk about in a minute. I've started playing, and blah de blah de blah. There is literally too many games. On the PlayStation front, it's gathering dust. So we'll see. Probably when I need to play a Legend of Heroes game is when it gets turned on again. At this point, and the Switch. I mean, I don't even know where it is. I finished Kirby, right? Have I done that since the last episode?
Yeah, I think you had finished it. We're just on the last level.
Yeah,
Last
so there we go.
episode.
So Kirby's finished. That's still fun, but yeah, Switch is pretty much dead to me at this point, I think, to be honest. So, without further ado, Chris Pengelly, let's all
Yes.
settle in. Let's all get a cup of coffee. Talk us through it.
Yeah. So playing, I've only really played 2 games. Since last episode, and one of them was The Last of Us Part 1 on the PlayStation 5, which, like a lot of other people, I started after watching the first episode of the HBO show. So I played and finished that and got the platinum as well on it. And it is fantastic still how good the story and that of the game is. Now, obviously, playing in 60 frames a second, being on the PS5, and like the dual sense use of like the haptic feedbacks, the triggers, and all that good stuff. So it is fantastic. If you've not played Last of Us before, because you know the show and stuff, like I think the sales are up 300% on both versions. Obviously, this would be the best way to play the game. I don't know if it's on PC yet or not. If
Not
the
yet.
PC version out,
Not yet.
if the PC version is out, You better play it on your Steam Deck then, Davey.
Literally, you couldn't pay me money to play that trash, Chris.
How much would it be on Steam Deck digitally?
It'd
It's
be-
a PlayStation game, so it'd be 70 quid.
Yeah.
That's fucking brutal. Have you sold it already, Pengy?
Yeah, I sold mine after I got the platinum.
Would you recommend it if you couldn't sell it? If you had to spend 70 quid on
I didn't spend 70 quid on it in the first place.
It's not
but
not what Craig's asking, is it?
it?
yeah, because it's one of the best games ever made better. So yeah, most probably would have paid 70 quid for it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I've even moved it up in my top 50 games of all time. I've moved it above part 2 now, after playing part 1 again. And for like the second and a half time, because I played it originally on PS3, played this version all the way through, and I played a bit of the remaster of it, so sort of like 2.5 times. And you know, like I said, I went after finishes, I went through and got all the collectibles and stuff for the platinum trophy, which I think is 22 hours it took to get the platinum for part 1, so not overly long and it's not overly complicated. It's mainly just get all the collectibles and you know that sort of thing. And a bit of the pain is like getting like timing it so you get Ellie to tell her jokes and stuff like that. Otherwise, you know, it's pretty simple platinum if sort of thing. So all good. And then a pickup and been playing, hence why trying to move it in. Fire Emblem Engage on the Nintendo Switch.
It's just the Pepsi game.
Well, it's the Pepsi game or the toothpaste game
The
as well,
Colgate game.
or
Oh,
the
yeah.
or the VTuber game as well. Everyone says the main looks like a VTuber is well, sort of thing. Yeah, so I think it came out the 20th of January. So started that. I'm on chapter 15. I think there's like 27 chapters, so I'm about halfway. I think I'm like 16 or 17 hours into the game. It is pretty good. The only thing I would say, the story is very generic anime, and some of the characters are good, some of them aren't bad. None of them I would say are like as good as the main cast of Three Houses. I would still say Three Houses at the moment, and maybe Engage gets better like the second half of it. Three Houses is the better of the two Fire Emblem games on Switch. So if you haven't played either of them, I know this is the new shiny one. I would mostly recommend Three Houses over it, sort of thing. Neither are still as good as Awakening on the 3DS, but that's a whole different conversation. Yeah, so as soon as I finished Last of Us, I started Fire Emblem, and that's pretty much all I've been playing at the moment.
Any more purchases, Pengy?
Oh, I have one or two because we've been gone for 3 weeks.
So a normal person would have a maximum of one or two, wouldn't they?
Mm-hmm. But I did pick up a few today because I went into town today and I picked up a few
Oh
games.
God! And what did you buy, Pengy?
Right,
Give us
so
names and prices. That's what
Yeah,
Craig
but
needs.
so wait a minute, let me get my calculator ready, Chris.
Okay.
Right, go.
Do you want to conclude Fire Emblem?
Oh yeah, go on. What was the price of that one?
I bought the Divine Edition,
Right.
so that's 80.
Woo! What was so divine about it, Chris?
Well, it comes in a big box. It comes with a big art book. It comes with a steel book and some collectible cards, which has got all like the characters on, like, but all like the old Fire Emblem characters, because that's like the main. That's like the main thing gimmick of Fire Emblem Engage. So there's like here's the card with Martha on, here's the one with Lucina on, here's the one with Lynn on,
I don't think you're going to justify it to Craig here, no
here's
matter
the
how
one
much
with
you try.
It's already like 150, 160 quid on eBay because obviously it's a Nintendo special edition, so sold out in minutes, and it's already doubled because again it's a Nintendo special edition, and Nintendo collectors are weird. Hello, so yeah,
So that's
Fire Emblem
80 for
Engage.
one.
Yeah.
Then I
Had you picked up Last of Us last week?
No, remember I put that with my PS5, and
Oh, of course you did. Yeah, that was on
Yeah.
that list of shame, the list of terrible games that you bought with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and then I started it after the first episode of the show. It's
Yeah.
always sort of my plan, so sort of thing. Yeah. So the other board game, so Rhoda and the Sky Soldier for the Wii U / Wii.
And how much was that,
Right.
Chris?
I think it was £7 in the end from the NSI.
Did that include the VAT?
No, because remember they had the 40% off thing.
Okay, well, we're going to say 8. Would be nice.
Yeah, which is is weird because you could go on there and buy that game right now, Craigie,
Yeah.
for like £8. Well, you couldn't because of the 40% deal thing, but you can still buy it cheap. Yet CEX like give like £25 trade in for it, and they sell it for like £35. So even though you can just go buy the game for like £8, so.
How many copies did you buy then, Chris?
I only bought the one because you could only buy one per person, but
Okay.
yeah, so that for the Wii U / Wii. Because
Are you looking forward to playing that, or
I've played it before on the Wii U.
doesn't really answer the question, does it?
No,
Yeah,
because
it does. The answer is no. He's not
no,
going.
but it's still sealed as well.
So no. Okay, so next game.
This one I picked up today and it cost me £2. It's Just Dance 2016 for the Wii U.
That takes you up to £90, right? What about the other NIS game you bought?
I've got my list is in a bit of an order.
Okay, right. So £90. Next one.
Yeah.
So that's the 2 Wii U games.
Yeah.
And then I picked up Fantasy Life for the 3DS.
Right. How much that cost you?
£25.
Oh, God, I've got that. I could have sold you. I could have sold that to you for way less than £25. It's a good game, but £115. All right, Chris. Next one.
Yeah, so then I picked up today, also on the 3DS, Detective Pikachu.
God, how much did that cost?
18.
That's what, 133?
133, yeah.
Right, okay, next one.
Yeah, so I got that one before it sort of goes up in
Before
up
it
in
comes
price.
to Switch, but yeah, next one.
Well, no, because they announced a Detective Pikachu 2 ages ago, and like everyone seems to have forgot about it, even Nintendo.
Dave
Including
never forgets.
Nintendo, yeah. They just
Dave never forgets.
Yeah. So yeah, then also today, Atelier Rona Plus, The Alchemist of
Oh,
Arlen,
for
PS3.
fuck's sake, why can't you learn?
What?
You're never going to finish an Atelier game. How much did how much did that cost?
15.
Oh, okay, Greg, 148.
Why?
Next
Why
one.
did you buy that, Chris?
There's so many Atelier games. There's so many ways to play them, and it's like the PS3 Atelier game that you're not going to play. Like you didn't even buy like Sophie on the PS4 that you might have played, or
Especially because
Ryza.
I'm guessing because it's a PS3 game, you can't play it on your PS5.
Absolutely
No.
not. Great.
So why? What? At least if you bought a PS4 one, you could play it and there's a chance. This has got no chance.
Yeah, but
They're not even that collectible either because you can get the Atelier games everywhere apart from
Well, they
Xbox.
spunk out about 4 a fucking year, don't
They
they?
really
So-
do, and they're about 80 hours. Okay, right. So anyway, we're getting distracted. Chris, next one, next game, please.
So next one is Armored Core Formula Front on the PSP.
Right. Okay. How much did that cost you?
£3.
Well, that's better, I suppose. So we're over the
Is that
we're over the 150 mark now.
Is that going to warm you up for Fires of Rubicon or whatever the fuck it's called?
Fires of Rubicon. Fuck me, it's the drink flavour, isn't it?
No, not really.
Okay. Anyway, I'm losing my mind here. Next one. Next game.
Also on the
£151 so far.
Yeah.
also on the PSP, Untold Legends Warriors Code of Warriors, I should say.
Okay. How much?
Also £3.
Okay. 154. We moved. Next one.
Then on the PS5, and this is where you sort of mentioned it at the start when I said Rhoda, is Ys 8, the Lacrimosa of Dana on the PS5.
Well, okay.
It's easy for you to say.
So, right. Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Dana. There we go. Carry on. And
Yes.
that was 25, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whew. 179.
I sold
you know.
that, by the way, because I bought that as well. Because in the sale, I sold that for £35.
Yeah,
Didn't
this
even
is
unwrap it. Didn't even unwrap
Yeah.
it. I learnt my
this is
lesson
the thing.
because I saw a rumor that it's coming to Game Pass. I was like, I'm not getting caught out again. This fucker's getting sold.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Like you go back, like Rotor, or you were saying like the yeast. Like if you look on eBay, or
The
you
difference
like
is, Chris,
see it,
I did sell it.
yeah.
That's the
But this is the
difference.
thing. But it's just crazy. Like NIS have got these games like
I just
where
don't think anyone knows that their store's a thing because it has the VAT thing. So like you
Mm.
go on there and you'll see a game for like £6, but it's really 12 quid, and people can't be asked to then pay packaging. And
Yeah.
if you know what you're looking for, it's the way to go. But anyway, right. So that's up. Is that the last thing you bought?
No.
We're at 179 quid. Right?
So
In 3 weeks, by the way.
Sackboy on PS5.
Again, I could have sold you my copy. How much did you pay for that?
A tenner.
That's actually quite a good deal, but
Yeah.
right. And any more?
Yeah, the last sort of big one that mostly will get played sometime this week, and that's Forspoken on PS5.
And how much was Forspoken?
45.
And that is all the games you've purchased, is it?
Yes.
And how much was that grand total, Craig?
£235. And basically, Dave, what I'm taking from this is you spent £234, sorry, to play Fire Emblem Engage and Forspoken.
Money well spent. Right. Bear in mind,
That's the only two he's gonna
bear in
play.
mind, I bought a console, and mine's not that far from that.
That's terrifying, isn't it?
Oh, thank you. Oh well,
Yeah,
Chris
but
is
if that's-
single-handedly keeping the games industry in business, isn't he? Single-handedly.
I was about to say,
Well, they're
Dave,
all-
do you
you
want
say
to
that,
open a game shop in maybe Wellington? Have one customer, keep us afloat.
I think we'd make a killing. We'd just go on the NIS store and buy a load of Japanese games, put them up, put £2 extra on them. You'll be straight. I think I'll play E6 today. Oh no, I play it. Obviously, I'll just buy it and put it on my shelf.
Yeah, but that's 11 games. Was it like so? It's like 20 quid a game.
No, that's not how it works, and you can keep your mouth shut. You got 3 games that were £3, and then one game that's 80. It's not an average of 20 quid a game. Thank you.
Especially when you're only going to play 2 of them. So you
Fucking hell,
basically 100
a Man City fan going for the bloody net game cup as well. By the way, Jesus Christ,
No, I'll play Sackboy.
you will not play Sackboy.
Yeah.
No, you won't.
Yeah, I'll play
You
Sackboy.
won't. Yeah, we'll
Play
see.
some Sackboy.
Right, so let's move on to the topic of the show because this is already 30 minutes of Chris blowing. You know, what if your mortgage advisor listens to this, Chris? You're in deep trouble, buddy. Deep trouble. They'd be like, "Is NIS a porn site, sir?" And you'd be like, "No, it's just anime. Is that any better?" No, it's not. But anyway, as me and Craig alluded to, there has actually been video games released for no additional cost to your subscription, Craig. Isn't that
What a world to live in, eh?
What a world to live in. And that, of course, is the surprise viral hit that is Hi-Fi Rush.
Which was announced during the show, obviously.
During the show that we did a live stream for. We did it live, pal. And then immediately released in the evening afterwards from the team that made Evil Within. So, Craig, I think you've probably played the most. What do you think?
Yeah, so I've played. I did have that up.
I've played about an hour. I've had a very first impression.
I've played 7.5 hours.
Nice.
And I think I'm on to the tracks are called tracks. The tracks are called that. The chapters are called tracks because obviously it's a music game, Dave.
Right, you've nailed that.
I think I'm on track 7.
Nice.
I think I might just finish track 7 actually. And I will start saying this again, similar to my Monster Hunter thing. I am horrendous at like action games, and I'm terrible at like keeping a beat.
There's no rhythmic bone in your body, is there? Let's be honest.
Exactly. So I will preface it with that. But I will say the game is amazing. It looks ridiculous. It looks like it shouldn't exist. Like you watch the trailer for it and you're like, it's not gonna look like that. And that's a cutscene. It ain't gonna look like that. And it's like, oh no, the game does. It looks like that. That is the environments. That is the characters. It goes into a cutscene and it looks exactly the same as the world, and it transitions back out of the cutscene and it looks exactly the same. It's insane how like consistent the art style is and how good it is. insane that the whole world moves to the rhythm and the beat. So all the environments look ridiculous, and then they also all move to the beat that the whole game moves to. It's just mental that much detail has gone into it. Obviously, it's like an action game set to a beat, but it's quite forgiving in the way that it does the combat. I think, and the fact that all of your attacks will go to the beat no matter when you press them, and then if you press the button at the right time, you basically get like a damage boost.
Yeah, it's a
So
bonus basically, which is I think the best way
yeah,
to do it.
yeah, which for like an absolute gorilla moron like me, I can still play it and like still have a good time. Basically, I'm not just here like failing miserably, dying over and over again, and not enjoying myself. It also gives you a little score at the end of each encounter, and part of the score will be like your on the beat score, so how well you did, like pushing the inputs at the right time. If I'm not on a D, I'm happy. I mean, I know I'm not, I'm not being, you're not aiming my sights very high here, but if I get a C, or occasionally, Dave, I'll break into the B's, and then I'm like, oh, I'm performing at my highest possible output right now. Crikey,
You gotta be slowing down, Craigie. Stuff like
I
statements
know,
like that.
right? So yeah, I said I'm really enjoying it. It's like it's quite a substantial game as well. I feel like I'm maybe halfway, possibly.
Yeah, everyone's saying
It,
about 12 to 15.
yeah, which is just crazy that they've like shadow dropped this and that like
It
it's
is
that
a
much of
very
a game.
interesting model because I mean it's also not to butt in, but it's also I think it's £27 to purchase.
Yep.
It's also and so it came out for Xbox, Windows, and Steam, and it's like in the top 10 Steam sales, even though you can get it on both the Game Passes for with your subscription. So
Yeah.
it's
It's insane that it's so cheap.
it's had
Like,
no marketing other than basically a trailer, and it's gone viral, right? That's why it's doing so well.
yeah,
Second game that's come out of Game Pass to do that this year. Though obviously, poor High on Life has now been ruined by its creator being an absolute knob, so that's slowed that down.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I echo your statement. I think it's fascinating that they've made a game like this from such a departure from everything the studio's done before, and that
You say
it's
that, but they do have quite a few members that were at Clover that went with Shinji Mikami. So even though the studio is only known really for like Evil Win and Ghostwire Tokyo, what that team's made in before, you have got things like Beautiful Joe and that.
I mean, even
When
Beautiful Joe.
obviously
So
Clover.
like Beautiful, if you worked on Beautiful Joe, you're probably one of the more senior members of that team. That's probably right to assume. So Beautiful Joe came out 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So like it's been 20 years, and they've shadow dropped this half price game that has, from what I can tell, barely any bugs, like amazing animation, runs flawlessly on console and PC and Steam Deck. It's Steam Deck verified. That's how well it runs. Like it is crazy that they've just done this. Like it's just it's out.
yeah. And like
Um,
the amount of work that must go on, because like the stories, like it's so well
it's
written, like it is
good. Like
genuinely funny. Like the voice acting is all brilliant.
it really
Like you say, the
fits the style.
animation,
That's the thing with them
yeah,
because I think a lot of people have kind of maybe rightly gone, well, how come it's okay for Hi-Fi Rush to be kind of campy and silly, but then Forspoken isn't? But it's like Hi-Fi Rush is literally a comic book anime game. So like it
yeah, it's like a
fits.
cartoon.
Yeah, like it fits the style they've gone for. Like the animations are actually really good. It gives me real Wind Waker vibes in that like the faces are so emotive. Well, they
Yeah,
do like the anime like face pulls, and it's like timed really well, which like obviously like Link does in Wind Waker, and it's like it's just so impressive. Like it's such an impressive game for what it is, and like you said, like I'm a little bit more rhythmic than you are, but like it's cool that it's not like it's a bonus. It's not like the main thing. Like it's not that frustrating. Like it's not like I can't keep this beat. It's like it's pretty simple. It's X X X X X or X X X X Y. It's like
oh no, you
that meme.
unlock more.
I've seen more.
You,
I've got a few
yeah,
more, but it's like one of those like if you want to, you can play the game. Um, like just like basically, So it's like it's cool. Like it's one of those. It's just cool that you can just play it. So I'm in an hour in. I loved it. The first boss was hilarious. Like like still the voice acting is great, and yeah, it's been a real surprise hit for me.
yeah, definitely. I will say one thing I don't like about it is you unlock soon a parry system, Dave.
Yeah,
and you got to parry on the beat, which is fine. They kind of do go a little bit over the top of it, and there's some parts where you have to like. There's certain enemies you can only parry, and they basically play a tune, and then you have to like parry it back in that tune, their attacks. It all happens very fast, and I am dreadful at it. So there's some sections that can be a little bit like, I'll die a few times still. I'm like, can we just not do this? Like, can we just skip this crap? So yeah, that's probably the one negative I would say about it. Is I'm not a massive fan. The actual parry system's fine. They just making some of the enemies like only interact with you in that way is a bit like for someone who's good at the game, it would be fine, and they'd breeze past it, and they'd be like, "What the hell am I talking about?" But for an absolute idiot like me, it's like, "Oh, can we just not do that?" Yeah, that's like literally the only criticism I can have of it at the moment.
What do you think then, Pengi?
I played the first level or track or whatever it's called. The night it came out. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I will go back to it at some point. It's just I'm deep into Fire Emblem Engage, so I was like, right, I'm going to continue on with my Fire Emblem at the moment. And then as soon as I've done that, then maybe some Hi-Fi Rush before some Forspoken, or the other way around.
Nice. But yes, that was our little brief look at Hi-Fi Rush. I suspect we will talk about it more when we will play it a bit more. But yeah, never good. It's been a very good month for Game Pass. Very good month for Game Pass.
I think it might be a good year for Game Pass.
It's
I'm just
it's
gonna
looking
call that now.
it is looking likely, isn't it? It's looking likely. So on to our next section, what is a rapidly getting larger podcast. We've already done my first impressions of the Steam Deck, so I don't really need to say anymore. Even that I like it and it's cool. So we'll move on to our last section, which is obviously going to be the big dog, and it is Pengi on the PSVR 2 news. So obviously me and Craig, other than the videos that Pengi actually does himself, we don't really, I'd be honest with you, I've not kept up at all with the PSVR 2. I'm not buying one. I don't have the money. So Pengos, talk us through it. What's happening in the VR world? Where are you at with it? Talk to us. What's going on?
Yeah, so today we had at 6 o'clock, we had a showcase from Parrot Games, who publish a lot of VR games. They mainly do physical of VR games, like on like the PS4, and obviously they have announced a bunch for the PSVR 2, and they had a showcase today where I think they showed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so like I don't know, about 10 games and stuff like that. Coming, most of them are at launch as well, and some like sort of like big ones. So you got like the Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy Edge is coming over from Quest as an enhanced edition. It's coming at launch day on the VR2 on the 22nd of February, but they've announced a physical version on the 7th of April, so a little bit of wait for the physical version of that. But that more keen on that than the digital, because I think it's 45 quid digital, the Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy, so quite pricey, and I think it's about 4 hours long as well, from what I remember from on Quest. So like a physical version is much more tempting on stuff like that sort of thing. And then obviously they did announce stuff that hadn't been announced already, like Cave Digger 2. So it brings like the launch window up to like 45 games in like the first month. So there's a coming to PSVR 2, like I said, in the sort of first month. There's no sort of experiences announced like that. That might sound daft, but obviously the PSVR 1 and the Quest had like some cool like sort of like movies and things, and I know like I think like NASA did some sort of like space education thing or something as well, and none of that sort of stuff for PSVR 2 at the moment. And then it's sort of like there's all these games coming like the first month. It's what's coming out after that is one of the questions that I've still got. 45 games at the month is a lot, like why not spread them out a bit more? But then again, I guess people, got this new shiny hardware that we need to get out there with our games as quick as possible. But then, so people can only buy so many games, and most of them are only digital, which is the thing as well, which I guess is a good thing. Parap are doing physical games, but they're the only one that seems to be doing them at the moment, apart from Walking Dead. I think that's getting physical is
The 45 games. I mean, I know nothing about VR or PSVR.
Yeah.
Other than like them talking about it briefly and kind of funny, and they were basically moaning that a lot of them are like old games that are just kind of being basically ported over. Is that actually the case, or is that just like ill-informed?
There is quite a few remasters. I feel it's a little bit like PS5 / Series X launch, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla is a Series X and a PS5 launch game. It is a PS5 and Series X launch game, but it was on PS4 as well. There's a bit of that, but not as many as I think they might be. I've not seen their
It was a
content.
launch game for it though, because it did launch like it launched at the same time on it in that sense. But it wasn't like it launched like 2 years before and then like moved over.
No, but you got things a bit like there's a game called Tales of Onagaro. It came out on PSVR 1, I think, like the start of the month. It's come out on PSVR 1 this year, and it's launching on PSVR 2. So you got an odd ones like that sort of thing. But there is quite a few new titles. But then you got things like the Star Wars game, which is new to the PlayStation ecosystem. It's not beyond PSVR 1, but it isn't like an old game. It was on, the Quest and stuff like that. So I don't know if they're saying stuff like that's not new. But then again, going back to like the two consoles launch, you had Tetris Effect, for instance, on the Series X as a launch game, which was a couple years old at the time. So if you compare Star Wars to Tetris Effect, similar situation there, I would think.
I guess as well, if you're someone who's like coming into it completely cold and like never owned a VR system before, then like those 45 games are brand new to you.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like Star Wars is, if you've never owned a Quest, that's a brand new game to you, sort of thing. They did end on a skateboarding game, which looks like graphically quite cool, but sort of also weird because you use your hands to like do the tricks that you would with your feet. So it looks kind of weird when they're showing like the guy like moving his hands around to like do a kickflip and stuff.
Lovely. So the big question we all are asking, Pinky, are you buying one?
I'm still gonna wait until slightly after launch, see the reviews, see what else is coming down the line. That is the main thing. Like I said, it's all well and good having 45 games in a month, Like I don't know how I know like the Xbox Series and the PS5 are both backwards compatible, so you had hundreds of thousands of games, but I don't expect either of them had 45 games within the first month, sort of thing. So there's a lot of games. It's just like what's coming out in November on PSVR. Is Spider-Man having a VR mode? Because Gran Turismo 7's getting a VR mode. Resident Evil Village is getting a VR.
I mean, if I wanted
mode.
to vomit, I think Spider-Man in VR would potentially be the way to go.
Yeah. Well, it was Final Fantasy 15 had a VR mode. Is 16 getting a VR mode? Sort of thing. Well, in Assassin's Creed, I think I'm not sure which one. I'm sure one of them had a VR thing. Is Mirage or whatever getting something down the road? So it's more like what's coming. I do hope Sony do like a showcase or a state of play. I'm like, this is like the sort of like the next 12 months of PSVR 2 sort of thing, not just like this is what's the next month. And I just need to sort of know beyond that.
Lovely. We will wait and see, won't we, Craigie?
Oh, there's no waiting and seeing. It's done. It's game over, man. He's buying it.
Yeah. So
Love it. Well, I think that bombshell concludes another episode of the Potterwar Gamescast. Thank you all for watching the Pengals update. We will keep you updated on how much money Chris spends over the coming weeks, and if he plays any video games, I guess that will be a
I
thought.
played 22 hours of Last of Us and 17 of Fire Emblem. That's 39.
It's roughly £50 per hour in the last 3 weeks, Chris.
Yeah.
And those are kind of metrics you believe in. But yes, if you like the show and you've got this far, put a comment, let us know what you're playing, what you want to play, what you want to buy, and we will see you all next week.
Bye.